Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how to do an inverted pleat on a half circle flared skirt with our pattern. Now there are various ways to actually do this, but I'm just going to show you the easiest and the fastest way to get it done. And these are all the materials you're going to need for this tutorial. But before we go into the video, we need to determine the measurements we will need to make this skirt and our radius. We want to add pleats to this skirt, meaning that we would actually have to multiply our waist measurements by a couple of inches or centimeters. Usually, whenever I'm making a pleated skirt or a gathered skirt, I usually multiply by 2 or by 3 if I want that average normal fullness, the normal fullness. But if I want to be extra, I can multiply it by 4 or by 5. So this really depends on you. But for this particular tutorial, I will be multiplying mine by 2. So I am working with a waist measurement of 26 inches and a skirt length measurement of 24 inches. And I am just going to add 1 inch for allowance, which is going to make it 27 inches. And then I'm going to multiply that 27 by 2, which gave me 54 inches. And I've just decided to round it up to 60 inches. So I will be working with a waist measurement of 60 inches, and I'm still going to maintain my skirt length measurement of 24 inches. Now this really depends on you. You do not have to round yours up like the way I did mine from 54 to 60. You can maintain what you multiplied, the figure that you got, or you can round it up. I just wanted to give it a little bit more fullness since I didn't multiply it by 3. I just wanted to give it more fullness. That's why I rounded it up to 60. This is optional. It's not. You do not have to do it. So now that we have determined our waist measurement and the length of our skirts, we need to get our radius. And our radius, we would be dividing that 60 inches by 3.14. We're dividing it by 3.14 because we are trying to do a pleat on a half circle flared skirt, not a full circle, a half circle. So that's why we are dividing it by 3.14. And after dividing it by 3.14, it gave me 19.1 inch. So I have a radius of 19.1 inches. And now that we have determined our waist measurements, our radius, the length of our skirts, we've gotten all our materials, let's just go straight right into the video. So you can cut the front piece in 2 ways. You can cut it on fold, or you can open up the fabric and cut it for one piece just the way as I am about to do. And I'm using a muslin, also known as calico, as my fabric because I'm doing an example. I'm doing a prototype, and usually whenever I'm doing a prototype of a particular garment, I usually use a muslin. So I have determined my radius on my tape. I'm working with a radius of 19 inches. So I'm going to start measuring from the edge of my fabric. I'm going to measure all the way down to my radius, which is 19. And I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to do that ensuring that my tape is still touching the edge of my fabric. I'm going to do that all the way till I get to the other side. And because this is the front piece, I have to take the measurement and ensure that my measurement is going to give me 30 inches. Remember, I'm working with a waist measurement of 60 inches. So this front piece has to give me a measurement of 30 inches, which gave me 30 on the dot. So I'm just going to connect my dots together. Mm. And from there, I'm just going to start taking down my skirt length measurements. So I'm going to measure from the curve all the way down to the length of my skirt till I get to the other side. After doing this, I'm just going to connect using my calculator to connect all my dots together. And then we are practically done with the front piece. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut out my front piece on the lines that I have drawn. So we are done with the front piece. We are going to cut two pieces for the back, and we remember that we are working with a waist measurement of 60 inches, and the front already gave us 30, so we have the other 30 to work with. So I'm just going to repeat the exact same process that I did for the front to the back. And each piece should give me 15 inches, and when I sum it up, it's going to give me 30 inches. And I'm still working with a skirt length measurement of 24 inches. So for my curve, I'm still going to mark the length of my skirt. And because the back is supposed to give me two pieces, not unfold, I left a 0.5 cm for me to cut through so I can get two pieces. And this is not supposed to affect the measurement of your waist. I left an extra 0.5 cm. And now we're done cutting the back piece. Like I said, the back is supposed to give us two pieces, each having 15 inches on the waist. And this is our front piece. Go ahead had to do my side seams, but I didn't do the same for my center back, and I did not hem it. And because we are learning how to do this with our pattern, we don't necessarily know the distance between our pleats. So we would always go back to measure the waist to ensure that we're going to take it back to the actual waist measurement. Now I'm going to start pleating for my side seams because I usually use my side seams as a guide. It just helps me pleat more accurately. So I measure the 1.5 from my seam line, and then I'm going to pin it to the seam line. Now I'm not going to pin it over the seam line, I'm actually going to pin it exactly on the seam. And then from that point I am going to measure a 2.5, and I'm using a 2.5 because that's how wide I want my pleats to be. Yours can be a bit more or yours can be a bit less, it really depends on you. And from there I'm going to measure a 1.5. Like I said earlier on, these figures are not compulsory. It really depends on you and also the number or the figure you use to multiply your actual waist measurements with. So I'm just going to place the 2.5 points on the 1.5 and I'm going to pin it. And then I'm just going to keep on repeating this step till I get to the other side. I am going to measure a 1.5 inch. From that point, I'm going to take a measurement of 1.5, and then that is going to be our first inverted pleat. So I am going to pin it towards the last pleat that we did, and then I'm just going to pin it down. And keep doing this step till I get to the other side. Now at this point, I have practically gone halfway, so I'm going to take my waist measurement to ensure that I am still on the right path. And then just make a couple of adjustments if I need to. And I'm going to take the measurement And just make sure that the front is giving me 13 inches. Remember that I'm working with a waist measurement of 26 inches. So the back and the front should each give me 13 inches. And then right now I am having a little bit less. And right now I'm having a little bit more than 13 inches. So I'm just going to readjust to ensure that I am going to get 13 inches on the dots. And then now that it has given me 13 inches, I'm going to baste it. Now this particular process is very optional, you don't necessarily have to do it. But I always like basting just to keep my pleats in place, so that I could take out my pins and move on to the next stage. Remember, when basting is a single thread. So we are also going to start pleating from the side seam for the back. So we're going to repeat the same process, the 1.5 to the 2.5 to the 1.5 all over again. And the back should also give you 13 inches. So my back should individually give me 6.5, 6.5, which at the end will give me 13 inches. Left a 1 inch for my zip and my center back seam. And now that we are done, I'm going to go ahead to iron. I would like my stitch to be 3 inches long, so I'm going to iron to a point of 3 inches. Now this ironing is just for you to have a guide when you're stitching. And right now I am done with the ironing. So I'm going to hold on to one of the ironed edges and then mark it. Now as you can see, I am picking on my inverted pleats. You have to be sure that it's on the inverted pleats so that you would not pin or stitch on or in a wrong place. So from that part, I'm going to mark 3 inches because that's how long I want my stitch to be. Yours can be a bit longer or a bit shorter. It really just depends on you. So I'm going to mark 3 inches. And then I'm going to pin and then baste it. Like I said, you have to be sure that it's on your inverted pleats, and when you're pinning and basting, you have to be sure that your needle is touching the iron part. If not, you're going to make a mistake and the finished look is going to be, it's not going to look nice. So I am going to do very loose stitches because I want it to be very easy for me to loosen when I am done stitching. Now some people go ahead to just stitch it straight with their machine, but I really like basting because it just helps me keep everything in place while I'm sewing, because I do not like sewing with pins, so I rather just baste before I sew. You have to be sure that the needle is touching the iron part. And then I'm going to repeat this process for all of my inverted pleats. Make sure there's nothing under it before you start sewing, so you don't sew into the waist measurement. And while sewing, you have to sew on the iron part or along your basted thread, because this is already a guide for you to follow. And then when I'm done stitching, I'm going to take out my basted thread, and that's why I made it as loose as possible, so it will be very easy for me to take out. And then I'm going to repeat this process for all my inverted pleats. You should have something that looks like this. My stitches are very straight and I do not necessarily need to iron because I was able to sew on the iron part, so everything is neat and straight. So right now I'm just going to go ahead to finish up the skirt, do my center back seam and hem it. Then I'll bring it back to show you guys the finished look. And this is our skirt. I went ahead to do the band, the zip, and then I hemmed it. But I haven't ironed it, that's why it's a bit rumpled. But this is your finished look. Now if you multiply it by 3 or more, you're going to have way more pleats and more flare and more fullness than this. But this is mine and this is the Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any question or you like to know more, or you like to know a different way you can actually do this style with pattern or without pattern, please leave a comment and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.